I'm using the microphone is for YouTube, so that those that are live on the Gulf Coast and are in Alabama right now, they'll be able to participate in the meeting. Because we've got people coming in from Oxford, I'm going to go through some things that might be lesser important, and then we'll backtrack and go from there. I told you that tonight's meeting and January's meeting were going to be very practical, and for some of you who have traveled a bunch, this might sound very simplistic, but for every person that says, oh yeah, I do that all the time, there's somebody else in the room that goes, oh, I never thought of that. And so we're going to try to cover everything, because my goal is that you are thoroughly prepared and planned and basically packed by the end of February. And then that gives you that last week just to relax and get excited about the trip. You're not running around with your head chopped off trying to add this and that. So I'm going to try to get you prepared week by week by week by week until you are ready to go there at the end of February. So we're going to focus a little bit on packing, and I brought visual aids for us tonight because that's what every good teacher does. The first thing that I am going to do is to recommend that you get a passport holder. Now, when you go to Walmart, you will see that they've got passport holders that kind of look like a large wallet, and that you put your passport inside, fold up, and you can put in your purse or such. But many of you are going to go on mission trips with me in the future. Shake your head like this. So when you are traveling in most parts of the world where you're going to do missions, you're going to want a passport holder like this. You're going to put it around your neck, and then as you layer your clothing, you'll put it underneath, and you'll keep it with you at all times. Now for us, here, that way you won't have the face. In Israel, we will have our passports on us, but not necessarily with us. Let me explain. When you come down in the morning from your room, you will have your passport. But we're not going to get stopped as a tourist group, so you can keep that in your purse or backpack that you leave on the bus as we exit the bus and go to different venues. You don't have to have it on your person all the time, but you can, especially if you have something like this. Now this affords you to carry cash and things like that and leave behind large purses or bags and such. You can get these on Amazon, and doesn't really cost much, but you'll probably want a passport holder for your travels now and for future travels. Now, I brought with me my trusty rusty backpack. This is a confiscation from one of our kids that we bought it and said, ooh, that's an ugly backpack. Hey, I'm never taking that to school. And so it became mine, and it's gone to Japan and West Africa and the Ukraine and Dominican Republic. It's gone everywhere with me. And it will go with me to Israel just like it did last time. And I would encourage you to grab a backpack, or, not that, this, maybe just one of these small things. Because what you're going to want to do in Israel is when we exit the bus, you will want to have a light rain jacket. And I brought this to show you because we even confirmed it, Cynthia did the other night. I wore a golf shirt every single day, and we're going to be in Israel the same exact time. So I was in short sleeves every single day. I took this with me, but I only wore it once. But this was enough to keep me warm for the day that was overcast and a little bit cooler. Obviously, if it rains, then that's something that you're going to need. So all I did was roll this up in a little ball and put it in my backpack, and I kept it with me at all times. My backpack also had nabs. Some of y'all might know that as peanut butter crackers. But just a few of those because sometimes our touring might extend beyond what your body is used to as far as lunch. And so you might just take a small little snack and bottled water that's there on the bus. So I did that. Every day we bought a bottled water from our bus driver, and my backpack has a little place to put that. So I kept it there, and I drank it every day, and I think Cynthia did as well. So I had a backpack with me. Something else that you're going to want to take to Israel with you is this. It doesn't have to be like something you can kill somebody with like this is, but just an extra power strip, especially if you are two ladies rooming together, then you might need, both of you have a straightener or whatever. I don't know what y'all do in the bathroom. I just know it takes a while and you probably need electricity. So this is also comes in handy when you're trying to charge either a laptop or a camera or a phone, because in Israel you will not find it like America where your hotel has 18 different outlets to plug into. It won't be like that. Plus, you have one adapter, right? Remember, you need that adapter. And so you take that adapter, plug it into one outlet, plug this into it. Now you've got plenty of outlets to use for electricity. And so I think this is the one that we took, right, to Israel. You will want to make sure that you have that. When it comes to luggage, inside the book that you got in your packet, it has a description of the luggage, both the checked luggage and the carry-on luggage. I'll just want to pay attention to that. Avoid these mistakes. If you roll up to the check-in counter and your bag weighs 49 pounds, great, I get to go. You just made your trip one where you cannot buy a single souvenir, right? Because that bag's got to come back. So be careful about that. You can and you should take some stuff in your carry-on. Now, I'm a dude, so this is my carry-on as well. Inside my carry-on, I will have one change of clothes rolled up and down in there. When we get to packing, I will put one of my outfits in Cynthia's bag. She will put one of her outfits in mine. That way, if either one of our luggage gets displaced for a while, I've got two outfits, one in her bag and one in my carry-on. And if something goes beyond that, well, we can buy stuff in Israel. All right? So that's about the luggage. You want to make sure that it does fit the dimensions, because if you are over in the girth or you are over in the weight, you will pay. And if you can take some out of this bag and put it in that bag, great, wonderful, hallelujah. But if you show up and you're 54 pounds, then you're going to fork out about $75 for the extra poundage. So don't just kind of be careful about that. There are different ways that people weigh their bags. You can get on the scale and then get off and then get back on the scale holding your bag, and that's going to be a rough estimate. You can try to put your bag on the scale as long as it's balanced across there, and it should give you a rough estimate. But you want to make sure that you leave enough room weight-wise so that you can add some souvenirs, especially if you're thinking in your mind, I'm going to buy 10 different olive oil wood nativity sets in Bethlehem. Those got to go somewhere. So leave some room, or leave a lot of space that you can put clothes and such in your carry-on for the trip back. So luggage, though, is something that I do want to talk about just a little bit, because you have probably seen people in the airport that have designer bags. And boy, they look sweet. There's like a little leopard going down the pathway there. That's wonderful, but guess what? That's unusual. Most of us, when we purchase luggage, we go to Walmart or Target or somewhere like that, and we look at the luggage and we say, that looks like the sturdiest luggage at the best price, and so that's my luggage. Well, what you've done is what 800 million other people in the world have done. So when you're standing at the airport waiting for the luggage to come, your bag looks like everybody else's bag because they came up with the same idea and deal that you did. So what you're going to want to do is to set your bag apart. You do not want for your bag to be so bland that Muhammad takes it off the belt thinking it's his and runs to the taxi, and he doesn't figure it out until he opens it up at the hotel. So the best thing that you can do is you can take ribbons with various colors. I recommend purple and yellow. Tie them together and tie them on one of the handles. You can do that. What my daughter has done, which is fabulous, we bought her a luggage cover, neoprene cover, at Walmart. It was about $10, and it has the world on it, so it kind of fits missionary. And it just covers over your whole bag, and it makes your bag unique. If my people love me, then at Christmas time, I'm getting a special cover for my bag that has a caricature of my dog on it. So it will stand out and be able to make sure. Now, the reason why I tell you this is because the scenario of somebody taking somebody else's luggage actually happened on our trip. And when the Israeli guy figured out that he had the wrong luggage, he also figured out that the luggage he had and the contents therein were a whole lot better than his was. So he was not all really fired up and thrilled about changing things back. And so there was a family that had to negotiate around for a couple of days to get their bag back. So you want your bag to stand out so that when it comes down the crossway, you know exactly that's yours and you can grab it. Hey, I want to give you a little bit of help for our trip. Just so you'll know, the longest flight that we are going to have is going to be from Chicago to London. That is a 7-hour and 40-minute flight. Now, for those of you who have traveled mission trips, you don't even blink at that. But for some of you who have never traveled outside the States or even ridden an airplane before, that sounds like a long time. And you might get worried. I want you to pay close attention, take notes. This is what you do on long flights to avoid water retention, which causes all kinds of stress on your body and even headaches and such. What you're going to want to do is to make sure in the flight that you get up and you walk around. So every hour, every 2 hours, make your seat mates, make them move. Walk to the front of the plane, walk to the back, and sit back down. That will help you out quite a bit. Also, you might want to invest in some compression socks. Now, these are R2-D2 compression socks, and you will wear those on the flight, and they will help with circulation and water retention and things like that. So you will not have any sort of ailment, but also this doesn't matter for the way over, but it does matter a bunch on the way back. When you get up and walk and when you wear things like compression socks, that alleviates a lot of jet lag. And you don't want jet lag. You want to be awake, alert, and for all of our trip. Now, something else that helps out with jet lag will probably help up with the getting up and walking around the airplane, and that is water, water, water. So when the stewardess or stewards come by and they are asking you, do you want water? The answer is always yes. Drink just a little bit all the time because you think that you're on a ride, but your body is saying it's been 8 hours and we haven't moved and you're not sleeping and I'm still functioning at my normal. And so your body is going to begin to get dehydrated. So always drink water, and that will help out with all of the things that are on the plane. Something else that will help out on the plane, by the way, our flight to Chicago is an hour and 40 minutes. That's no big deal. By the time we get up there and you have your peanuts and ginger ale, we'll be coming down and it'll be fine. We do have a little bit of a long layover in Chicago before we leave for London. And so we'll be able to eat there and rest and all of that. But then we will go that 7-hour, 40-minute flight, and then we will have, I closed that up, from London to Tel Aviv is 4 hours and 45 minutes. So that's a decent flight as well. But what will help is the longer flights, like from Chicago to London. Most likely we are going to have entertainment centers right in the seat in front of you. You can pick any movie, cartoon, or Sudoku game that you want to pick and spend some time that way. And you can also sleep. Now, I'm going to tell you a funny story because I don't want everybody in here to think that my life is perfect. We were in Togo, West Africa, and I had preached my heart out all week long. And matter of fact, just for you, we actually got to see Operation Christmas Child follow-up discipleship class. We got to find out that there was a witch doctor in a village, and he would not allow Christian ministries in, but several of the kids received OCC boxes, and they were so overjoyed, and they were sharing with their village some stuff out of the box. And so the witch doctor let the local pastor come in and tell what the boxes were about and share the gospel and all of that. So it opened up a doorway, and we were in Togo there. While I was preaching, a green mamba came down from the little hut that I was under, and I'm preaching, and there are men back there that are with hands hitting, and then it falls down, and then they're macheting, and I'm trying to still preach, going, what in the world are y'all doing? But it was nothing for them, and so I had a great week, and I told the Lord, I said, I cannot wait to get on that plane. Our flight was about a 12, 13-hour flight before our next stop, and I said, I can't wait to get on that plane. And I got on the plane, and before really even off the ground, I was out. It seemed like about 2 minutes, where in my dream I heard old ladies cackling. And I remember opening my eyes, and you know the people that you laugh at in church who fall asleep and they kind of do this? I woke up on an older lady's chest, looking straight up at her. And all of her friends were dying laughing. So when I tell you that you might want to invest in one of these, I mean you might want to invest in one of these. You can buy these in the airport for $20. You can probably get one at Walmart for $5. But what it does is it allows you to have your own little rest thing and you're not going anywhere. Also, if you are a window seat, you can put it up against. And so it's a pillow for your taking. I am going to take mine. Obviously, I'll never leave home again without it. So that's some of the practical things: the passport holder, the backpack, the light rain jacket, the power strip for extra electricity, making sure that your luggage fits within the regulations and is recognizable, and then drinking lots of water and compression socks and getting up and moving around. Those are just very practical things about what it means to travel. Now, we want to talk about these. These are sometimes called smartphones. So here's my admonition. Now, we're not on a mission trip. I am not going to be telling you what to do as if I am your principal. I'm just going to give you some counsel. Enjoy the disconnect. Okay, that's before we talk about plans and how you can make contact and all that. Enjoy the disconnect. Now, many people use their phones as cameras and video recorders. So you're going to want them on your person, and you're going to want them charged up every single day. And we're even going to talk about what you need to do to get ready so that you can take a number of photos with your phone. But however, I would just make the decision right now in my mind that I am not going to text or email or post on social media at every single bus stop. You will find yourself on the bus rides looking down at your phone and missing what's around and missing the conversation and missing the camaraderie of what we're doing this thing for. So enjoy the disconnect and soak in this once-in-a-lifetime journey. You will have access to Wi-Fi at the hotels at night. Generally speaking, we are going to be eating breakfast either at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. or 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And we'll be out the door at 7 or 8 each morning. Our guide will tell us. We will come back to the hotel at 6 or 7 at night. So it's going to be a long day. And when you eat at the hotel at night, many of you are going to go crash. Some of you are going to stay in the lobby and play cards and all that, and that's perfectly fine. But you can also use that time to go back and either download your photos to something else or to connect with family if you need to via Wi-Fi. Now, I'm a Christian, so I have an Android. But for people who are lost and have iPhones, you are able to do FaceTime and iMessages and all of that with yours and it not cost you a thing. Now, if you want to, what our carrier does, we are AT&T, they offer an international plan for $10 a day, except they do not charge you unless you use it. So we signed up for that plan. We did not use that plan. We got charged $0. But if you need to make a phone call or an emergency or you want to do that, you can find plans with your carrier that you would want to do or you could do for cheap. I would advise you, just like I advise people on mission trips, do not go and purchase some extravagant international plan for these 8 days that we're going to be out of the country. You're going to find out that you misspent your money because you're so dialed into what we're doing, you're not even thinking like you do in the States. not even thinking about making a phone call or a text or whatever. So check with your carrier and find out what is their best cell plan for international, and go with that. Like I said, we sign up for the $10 a day, and if we don't use it, they don't charge us, so it's all good. Now, we're going to talk about contacting in just a moment, but I want to show you something, because I'm going to transition to your family. Your family watches the news, and after this week, they're like, I can't believe you're going to Israel. And so here's what you want to do for your family. Inside the booklet that you just received, it does have some misinformation in it. In the very back, when it does the daily schedule, you'll see that it has us flying into Istanbul and all of that. So that part's not right. The rest of it is. This has your hotel for Tiberias as well as Jerusalem. It also has the exact flight schedule with the flight numbers and the times of departure and arrival. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a copy of these 2 pages and leave it with a family member here in the States. On this sheet of paper, when you make the copy, you'll want to write down MaranathaTours.com. Leave them the website. You will also want to leave them the 800 number that's in this booklet, but it's also on the website. And here is the name that you want to write down with that. Jenny, Jennie, Rettinger, all right, Rettinger, Jenny Rettinger. That's the contact. Now, we are going to be 8 hours in advance of our local time. All right, so 8 hours ahead in Israel. Let's just say that an emergency takes place here in the States, and they have to get in contact with you. The best way your family can get in contact with you is by calling Maranatha. Number one, time. Now, Maranatha is in Arizona, and so there is a time change for that. But if we're on the top of Masada, I don't care what carrier you're with or what international plan you signed up for, you're not getting a phone call up there. That's the Dead Sea, and that nothing alive out there. So, but here's the thing. On Masada, your cell phone might not work, but our guides will. And so Maranatha will contact the guide. I will be with the guide at all times, and we will get the information to you and begin to facilitate whatever needs to happen in your life if there's an emergency in the States. Now, emergency has a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people. I've been in ministry long enough to know that not everything that people scream about is actually an emergency that has to be right now. And so, Maranatha will probably help us to sift through that, and they'll contact us at the appropriate time. If they don't need to wake us up at 2 o'clock in the morning and it can wait until 6, they might make that call. It's not like you're going to have a better chance of getting a flight between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. They'll work all that out. So the best contact would be to call Maranatha, and they will get in touch with us as quickly as possible. They also have direct lines to our hotels, and our hotels have direct lines with our schedules and the guides and all of that. Now let's talk about these packets that you received in the mail, the Maranatha Tours. This is not the Bible, but I would suggest that you read it very carefully. It details out a lot of what you need for the trip already. So what I'm going to do is just point your attention to page 4 and medications. Now, it already explains to you that your medications that you need, it should be packed in their original packing, especially if you're going to carry it on the plane. And that's my suggestion to you. For instance, if you take a daily blood pressure medicine and you can't afford for that to get lost if your luggage gets lost, take it with you, but make sure that it's in the prescription bottle. Any prescription that is good here in the States will be good there. The first night we got there, our team went to the local CVS and several of them got medications filled. It's not a big deal, except the prescription has to have a legible doctor's name on it. Legible is probably the key. And their physician license number. So if you're taking a prescription that is not something that can be handled over the counter or such, make sure you've got that in advance. Also, you might want to go to your doctor prior to us leaving and just ask, can you give me a generic antibiotic, like a Z-Pack, something like that, so that you can take with you just in case you begin to feel sick over there, sinuses, allergies, whatever. You don't have to go through all the rigmarole. You've already got it, and you can begin to take it and knock it out. Just something generic. We did that when we went because that was the advice that was given to us. Right. Inside your packets, several of our folks received another sheet of fill out your information. We don't have it. They've got everything they need. Okay, that was just extra in your packets. Don't worry about that. We've got it taken care of. Our final payment is due January the 20th. And the reason why I mention that is because the packet you got in the mail said final billing packet. And you might have freaked out a little bit. Don't worry about that. We've got a payment. Many of you have already paid for this month. Another payment in December. And then the residual happens in January. That was kind of what I wanted to do to alleviate any pressure at Christmas time with family. I can't buy you gifts because I'm going to Israel. I didn't want that to happen, so we kind of tried to break that up. But the actual final payment is due on January the 20th. Really, all Maranatha wants is either communication or consistent payments. And so we still have some time to fill that in. Cynthia was giving out some handouts earlier. I hope everybody got some. There are 3 different handouts. One is a peach-colored sheet, and it's got the 10 Commandments for travelers, and we're going to walk through that just for some practical information. Do not expect to find things as they are at home. For some of that is good. For instance, on the Sabbath, oh man alive, this worked out so good. The Sabbath is our first day there, okay? Our first real day of we're getting out. The next day, our Resurrection Sunday worship day, we will have our worship service on the Sea of Galilee that morning. Is that not cool? It's going to be great. So when we get there on the Sabbath, our first day out, you're going to notice something's a little bit different. And the difference is going to be there's no traffic. And there aren't people running around going crazy. Like, this is my first day here. Where's everybody that's going to help serve? Your first day there, you're going to get a very light breakfast that was prepared before sundown the night before. And it's going to be mostly pastries and things like that, because they don't do working on Sunday, on the Sabbath. But you'll also find that in the bathrooms, the rolls have been replaced with towelettes, individual, so that there will be no tearing, because that's considered work. And so you'll just pick up individual towelettes. It's just a unique thing that you're going to see. So don't expect to find things there like they are here at home. Number 2, leave your troubles at home. Number 3, never let other tourists get on your nerves. We have 45 people that are going on our trip, on our bus. 45 people that really want to love Jesus and walk where he walked. But guess what? 45 people that pieces of their puzzle don't always fit together. So if somebody's getting on your nerves or what, don't let them steal the joy of the trip. If you're wanting to take a nap in the back of the bus and the pastor's up there and he keeps blabbing on and on about things that he thinks he knows, don't let the pastor ruin your trip. Enjoy the journey. Remember your passport and where you put it. We are not going to get pulled over unless, but if we get pulled over, you've got it with you. Take half the clothes you think you need and twice the money. You are not dressing to the nines every day to impress the Israelis. They're not impressed. What you want to do is pack your baggage in such a way that it is less strain on you lugging it around, and you don't have 48 options for 6 days. Just take one pair of jeans and 2 different shirts. You got 2 days outfits right there, right? So make it simple. It says take twice the money. That's not to scare you into thinking that things are expensive. It's just saying prepare yourself, because you might want more than you think you want. Now, we did not spend hardly any money. I bought the one super huge, hey, I preached on the Sea of Galilee, I don't think I'm ever coming back here, so mortgage my house and buy that. But other than that, we didn't buy a whole lot. I don't know that you are going to spend extravagantly, but we did have one dude on our trip that bought about 20 nativity scenes for his family, and he actually ended up buying another piece of luggage and paying the overage and all of that. Just to each his own, so prepare yourself. Most of us are not going to use cash. Most of us will use debit cards or credit cards. If you are going to take cash, your American money is good there. Now, I will say this, don't really make a political statement about this. Your feelings about President Trump and or the way that he expresses himself on social media, you might want to keep in mind that our economy and our unemployment are the best they've been in my lifetime, and I'm talking like literally 1969, my lifetime. Keep in mind that over there, American money is good because they love Donald Trump. Now, this has something to do with this bold, brash move where Donald Trump, as the first acting president to acknowledge Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And if you are not familiar, that means that David, going all the way back, that Jerusalem legitimately belongs to the Israelites. Well, that one act about started a war in the Middle East. But for every Jew who woke up and read the paper and said, America has established Jerusalem as the capital, when we were there, they literally had pictures of Donald Trump around town that said "Our President." So our American money is good there. All right, I promise you. You will have to exchange some money for some of the local stuff. I never used the local money, but there are certain restrooms on some of the Catholic sites where you have to pay to use, and you will need Jewish money for that. Most of the time, your American money is good. In some places, yes. You have to, pretty much all over Europe, you have to, in France and Spain and places like that, you have to. But there, it is a way for the Roman Catholic Church to make money on tourism. No. No, they don't, right? No. Well, there's, they have to deal with the whole septic system and all that, and like, the Lord will forgive me. I don't have change, but I really got to go. I don't know. Do not poison your heart. Few troubles are fatal. And that goes from messages that you might receive from back home. More times than not, it's okay. It's going to be okay. Never judge a country by one fool. I don't know if y'all have heard about this, but there's a ball game that's taking place about 23 miles from here. And in a stadium that holds roughly 60,000 people, there are going to be 10,000 stinking idiots. They're not all from down south. But there'll be a hodgepodge of idiots. But most of the people in that stadium are just like you and me. Love their team, but they're not going to go crazy. So think about that in Israel. I was never offended or upset or even thought about it in Israel. Everybody was respectful. Everybody was nice. But if by chance you run up against somebody in the airport or such, just keep in mind, one fool doesn't represent everybody. Obey the local customs. I like the last part, don't be ashamed of being a foreigner. That's what we are. We can't hide that. Like the minute you open your mouth, you're not from around here. But obey the local customs. What that means is that we're going to be sensitive. So when we go to the Wailing Wall, for instance, the Western Wall, if you'll look at aerial photos, it will help you out quite a bit. The Western Wall is where all of the Jewish men and women will pray, and they will pray. You will hear some serious Hebrew as they pray. But the wall extends upward, and at the top of that wall is the Temple Mount. That's where all the Muslims are, and they're very protective. But when we go to that Wailing Wall, every man in here will wear one of those Jewish things on their head to cover their head. And they will give them out to you so that as you approach the wall, you do so with a covered head. Ladies, when we leave that area and we walk around to the Pool of Bethesda and then begin to make our way to the Temple Mount proper, you will kind of be looked up and down. And on that particular day, if we're going to just be sensitive to the culture, and so we're going to make sure that most of your skin is covered. And so on that day, you'll take a scarf that you would cover around your head, and you would make sure on that day that you wouldn't wear any crop pants, you wouldn't wear cropped shirts. If you do, they actually have gowns that you can put on that will cover over, and we won't resist that. We will say yes, because when you start to move toward the Temple Mount, you will feel the reality of why there is so much hate in the Middle East and why it's so volatile. Jerusalem proper is separated into 4 sections: Israel, Jewish, Muslim, Catholic, Armenian is the other, and every group claims Jerusalem. That is ours. Every group does, and so they're very particular about who has control where. So we're going to obey those customs. This might be a good time just to interject. You saw the news that rockets were fired in Gaza Strip. Here's what I want to give a little perspective on. Rockets are fired from Palestine into Israel every single day. And if you want me to give you the Twitter site so that you can follow it and figure that out, so many were fired overnight. It happens every day. We are going to be nowhere near where that's going on. Does that guarantee our safety? If 9/11 didn't teach you, hey, look, kids went to school today in Santa Clara, California, and a 15-year-old decided it was their day to die. So we're not guaranteed our safety, but we will be safer there than you would be in Oxford on Saturday night. I'm just telling you. So don't worry so much. Keep in mind that we are coming up on the Christmas season. The Christmas season means a lot to Christians. The Christmas season is the antithesis for Muslims and Jews. So you're going to find around this time there's going to be a lot of junk going on, but you just watch the news, because when Christmas actually gets here, silence. Why? Because it doesn't matter whether you're a Jew or a Muslim or a Roman Catholic. Everybody in that area on both sides of the fence depends upon tourism for their livelihood. So they're going to back away so none of the tourists quit spending their money. We're going to be okay. I feel confident about that. The next commandment says to enjoy delays. I'm really praying through whether or not that should be in there or not. I've been praying for every single part of our trip to go according to plan. But sometimes it's God's interventions into our plans that actually end up being the good spots. I told the group on Tuesday night, I wanted to go to Jericho. Jericho was on our trip agenda. Now, I wanted to go for special reasons, because when I was a little bitty preacher boy, brand new to ministry, I had a liberal Southern Baptist pastor that tried to eat my lunch, and we stayed awake until 4 o'clock in the morning, and he just berated me for believing that Jonah could ever be swallowed by a big fish. So you honestly can't think that this world and these galaxies and things that we don't know of were actually created in 6 literal 24-hour days. I mean, only a fool would believe that. I know you're young, but you don't have to be stupid. He just railed me all night long. And one of the last arguments he said was, do I even need to mention Jericho? I mean, a wall that is 2 chariots wide. And when you see the way they build things there, to even imagine that one stone would not be upon the other, it would be only a God thing. And so he says, there's no way it could happen. Trumpets, singing, there's no way it could happen. So I wanted to go to Jericho. And we didn't get to go to Jericho. And guess what difference it made in my trip to Israel? My trip to Israel was one of the best experiences I ever had in my life. So if we get delayed and don't get to go to one place or another, you're not going to miss it. It's going to be great. Honor your host. That's not me. That's the people who are guiding us and driving the bus, because we are their guest. I do want you to remember to pray for your health. How about your walking? I thought about that this past Tuesday when my dog and I were out there and what it was like 17 degrees. So I wonder how many of our folks have been walking, or maybe they told themselves, I'll start closer to time, and now closer to time's come, and you're like, I ain't going outside. You want to pray about your health. You want to begin to do walking. If you can't do it outside, just do it in your house. Wes Sigler is one of my best friends, and he is remarkable. We travel together, and dude, when we're in the car, he will do his legs and arms every hour on the hour to get in his steps. Wes, are you listening? I'm telling on you, he's supposed to be watching. He will, in the hotel room, jog in place. Now, when you look at Wes, you see, okay, it must work. So even if you can't walk outside, just walk up and down stairs, do a couple of laps around the kitchen, whatever you need to do, get your exercise ready. But pray for your health. Pray for our whole company's health. We want to pray about our travel. We want to make our connections. We want our flights to be okay. We want to pray about our luggage getting to where it's supposed to go. By the way, when it comes to luggage, every single person will have a number. That number will be on your name tag. And so whenever we are transferring anywhere, I have a master list that matches your number with your name, and I will be checking to make sure every bag gets to the proper bus, gets to the proper hotel. I'll be doing all that, but we still want to pray about it. Weather, yes, we want to pray about that. Ours was perfect, and I want it to be kind of that same way. And then also pray about the peace of Jerusalem. And I wouldn't worry about anything that's happening there. If it's happening at the end of February, Maranatha will contact us and give us instructions, but I wouldn't worry about it. Our next face-to-face meeting is January the 9th, so you might want to write that down. We will not meet in here. We will meet in the fellowship hall. We will have some food. We'll sit across tables. We'll get to know each other with a few games, and then we're going to get significantly practical about this is what you do. And I will have sheets and scheduled organization for you to take home and to fill in the blanks. That way you'll be ready. You will see in the handouts a health form. That health form is for me. You do not need to turn it in tonight unless you've already got it all. I do need it the next time we meet. I want to have it in my book before March comes. Now, what is that for? What if on top of Masada you lean a little bit too far forward and you roll like a roly-poly 2 miles down into the valley? A physician's going to have to see you if that takes place. And I want to be able to open up my notebook, and in my notebook, I will be able to flip to that page and say, okay, they're allergic to penicillin. And I'll just quickly be able to tell the attending physicians, watch out for this. Now, get them in the ambulance, and we're going to continue on with our tour. Right? There is another sheet. Some of y'all actually believe that. Another sheet of paper has some really, really forward pre-planning starting in January, 7 weeks out. This is what you need to do. All I want you to do is keep hold of that, put it on your calendar at home so that you begin to say, okay, I need to do that. If you've got a dog that needs to be boarded, it tells you what week you need to start working that out. If you want to do your hair different so that all you have to do is wake up in the morning, there's some kind of, thing that God created on the 8th day called dry shampoo. If you want to do all of that, It tells you when to schedule your appointments. All the is really just practical. Get this ready so you don't have to worry the last week. It tells you when to stop your mail, tells you when to stop your newspapers, if you even still do that. All of that's in there, and you can use that to get yourself ready. I think that I have covered all of the practical stuff I want to cover tonight, except for questions. Do you have any? Tipping is all taken care of. Matter of fact, I think that it's in the back of this book here. So what they have done, included in your price, is tipping from the whole group. So, and it actually lists out, this is how much of your trip money goes to the guide. But when you put, $10 together from 45 people, that's a decent tip for the guy that takes the luggage at the hotel and things like that. So you will not tip at all. Never. That's all taken care of. I would not. I don't know that the temperature-wise you would want to. Whether or not to wear shorts, you can. No ladies wore shorts on our trip. True that. No. I'm coming home before I'm wearing a skirt.
Leggings. I mean, that's something fine. You can roll up those on your suitcase.
I don't wear leggings in public either, so. Most of the ladies wore jeans and slacks and crops and things like that. I'm not very observant on that, so I don't even know if they wore leggings or not. Yeah. Shoes are big. That's why, crocking is rocking, because those things are comfortable and you can go anywhere. Pretty's in the eye of the beholder. I don't own a pair of Crocs, so I'm just joking. I wore tennis shoes every day. Yes. One night when we were in Tiberias, I think, Sea of Galilee, or was it in Jerusalem? Cynthia and I went out after dark, and we actually went to the Muslim quarter, and you could buy fruit right off the street, fresh fruit. You could walk into stores like a convenience store, because we actually bought coffee there and brought it back to Joshua Wetstein, some Israeli coffee. You can put it in your carry-on in a Ziploc bag, and when you get to the TSA, you just take that out and show them that you've got food, and it's fine. Yeah.
If you have a large amount, I would put it in your check bag.
Yeah, most of it in your check bag.
But like if you want some on the plane or while you're traveling, it's up to you. But I would put the bulk of it. And like their snacks are not like our snacks. We did get coffee.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's like unsweet tea. Like it. Now, I know sweets. I am a connoisseur, and I'm like, hey, that ain't sweet. It's chocolate, but it ain't sweet. Any kind of what? Yes. Yes. I don't know that Dr. Pepper would be that. It'd be called something else, like, Rabbi Joe's or something. The coffee, now, yeah, they don't sell formaldehyde over there, I don't think. Yeah, no, that was the godsend. Some of our trip people packed their individual creamers. You know, they just went and bought a box at Kroger and put it in the check bag, and some dear lady is going to get an extra wing in heaven because she provided me with creamer every day for my coffee, and I won't make that mistake again. I'll have my own. Well, I drink creamer and add coffee to it, so I can't tell you. I mean, you can, but if you... Yeah, she had the liquid creamers, yeah. So, any other questions? Yes.
I know you addressed the backpack and just carry on, talked about luggage. In that book, we read something about, the backpack is your carry-on, right?
If it's big, yes, it counts. Now, ladies, y'all can have a carry-on and a purse. Men, well, I mean anybody, I guess, carry-on and maybe like a briefcase kind of deal. But you know, international travel, there's a whole lot more space up top for you to put real carry-ons up there and stick. But I just use that. I don't want to be lugging my stuff all through airports.
So you're saying if you get a big enough backpack, all your stuff in there?
No. I check my stuff, and that is like my Bible, and it will have this packet that I've got for you guys. It'll have one change of clothes, and that's it. No.
But I actually did a rolling carry-on and a personal bag, which was bigger than that.
Yeah, she brought a bag instead of a purse. Huh? And well, it was a bag.
Because it's a personal bag.
Yeah.
Right.
A carry-on and a personal item.
Yeah.
I get my big tub and I put my purse and my book and all my carry-on stuff in there, so that's my carry-on with all my carry-on. And then I got a carry-on too.
I usually take it back.
And I'm just going to say, you know, that y'all are the kind of people that everybody else on the plane.
I don't do that for international.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah, looks at you like, what are you doing? Like,
And you can take a blanket too.
you can. The plane also has small blankets that you know, they throw away once they're opened. So they're, yeah, it's not a flub. You can take a blanket. You can take your own pillow, own pillowcase. Some people just take the pillowcase so that in the hotel we are staying. If you haven't looked at the online at the hotels, remember I told you that they upgraded us at the Sea of Galilee? Yeah, go check that hotel out. That looks pretty sweet. We are at the Sea of Galilee. Yeah, it's the first one. Yeah. The rooms do have hair dryers. You don't need to take those. If you're rooming two ladies together, only one of you needs to take one apparatus and share. There we go. Any other questions? Both hotels that we stay in will have a shop in the lower level, so you'll be able to pick up postcards, and some of them have T-shirts and things like that. I will be there to help if you have questions, because you can buy anything on the street, and you can buy anything at some of the venues we go to right away. But if you have questions, you can ask me, and I might be able to tell you, hey, you know, that, why don't you not buy that here? Why don't you wait and buy that later? And I'll be able to look at it and say, you can get better quality at a different shop. Remember that our biggest shop where you're going to get the nicest stuff and probably going to get the majority of your stuff from, if you want to buy a little bitty widow's mite. I don't know if y'all have even thought about that before. A widow's mite is from the story in the Bible where the widow gave the only thing she had left, and it was a mite. It was a less than a day's wage, and it's about the size of your pinky fingernail. And they unearthed a bunch, and they used to sell them in bulk. They don't anymore. Now they authenticate them and put them in small things. It's a unique thing to bring back from Israel. You'll buy that in the store in Palestine, which is Bethlehem. Okay, we will be in Palestine when we go to Bethlehem, and we'll go to the store there because the Palestinian Christians, that's their only livelihood. Their families have cast them aside. So we'll go there, and you'll buy everything from a widow's mite to little bitty cross necklaces all the way up to, you can buy a nativity scene that is hand-carved olive wood that is life size. All pieces. It's got its own room. Now, you will have to sell a couple of children to get that, depending on what your children are worth, you know. Now, remember, if you buy something big that is wood, as you negotiate, make sure that you talk about, are you going to ship this for me? And they will ship it. I actually brought the card back so that you know if they ship it, they guarantee it. So if it arrives to your door and it's broken, then you contact them with the photo of it being broken, and they ship you another one. So it's all legit as far as that goes. But you know, you'll negotiate some of that. Do not take any price at the price. Okay, it's just like everywhere else in the world. If you look and you see the praying hands right outside the Garden of Gethsemane, and you say, boy, I'd love some of those, and here's $10. No. I can't, I'm not going to do $10. You begin to walk away. Okay, how about $5? Now we're talking. When you go into that store, even though it's a store and even though you know that they're depending upon you, when that price tag says $900, you say, yeah, I can't do that. You might end up paying $650. Now, that's an extreme thing. But barter with them. Now, I did not come near paying $650 for my thing. But the guy gave me such a good deal. He said, if I give you this price, then you take it with you. I'm not shipping it. I said, fine. And he wrapped it up like a basketball, and it was never going to get bruised or broken, and I put it in my check bag, and we're good. You're going to need roughly $120 for lunch. And then on top of that, I would guess that most people are going to spend $100 to $200 on trinkets and toys. And you know, you can go a whole lot higher. But if you do that, I mean, all of this I would think would be credit card. By the way, speaking debit card, credit card, we'll talk about this as it gets closer to date, but you have to let your banking institution know. And when you let them know, they're going to ask specific. So you say London, England, Tel Aviv, Israel, and then throughout the country of Israel. So they're going to want to know what stops you're making. Our layover in London is like 2 hours, so no. Right. Any other questions? Well, then I'm going to end tonight the way that I was going to begin the night, but I'm going to end the night this way. Debbie has shown us that it is, in some people's mind, Christmas season. Yeah. In this Christmas season, you are going to hear various scenes of the actual incarnation event. I mean, it boggles the mind to think the God of all creation humiliated himself, clothed himself in human flesh, and he wasn't born in Manhattan. You will find out that Galilee, where Jesus grew up, he's just a good old country boy. He did not walk the concrete streets. Even Jerusalem, but Bethlehem, little, no, nothing. You're gonna hear scenes of all of this incredible event where God came to earth, and you're gonna hear preachers preach. And so the other day I was reading and came across in my Bible reading the scene from Luke, and I'm gonna read just a few verses to you tonight from that. I say I am. In the same region, shepherds were staying out in the fields and keeping watch at night over their flock. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were terrified. Now, we hear those words all the time, right? But after March, you will not read those verses the way that you just thought of them now. Because you will eat lunch overlooking the shepherd's field. And you will have in your mind that little cave that we walk into where the animals were kept during those months. And you will look and see where Mary and Joseph retreated because there was no room in the inn. And it will change the way that you read your Bible from this moment forward. Now, I'm going to warn you that whenever there is religion, there is also pride and greed. So some of the places that we go and visit, churches in the past have manipulated to make money, and some of the places we visit are just gaudy and ugly. To me, the stone where Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane is a holy place. But there is another place where there's a stone and it's got trinkets. Now, granted, the trinkets are 1,500 years old, but it just looks gaudy and ugly, and it takes away from the event. You'll see some of that there, but you'll also come away with these visions of, I cannot believe that I walked where Jesus walked. The email that I sent y'all, I hope every one of you got that. I sent you an email, kind of an update, and then the next day I sent you an email from a article that I had read. Did you all get that? Where the guy says, with certainty, down to a few yards, we know Jesus taught the Bible right here. That is our first stop on the first day, the city of Capernaum. It's going to be great. And I'm glad that you're going. Let me pray for us. God, thank you for allowing us the privilege of being able to go to the promised land. And Lord, we don't want to just see it like we're on some sort of site tour. We want to experience like we're a pilgrim that's walking in your ways. Break our heart, open our heart, shape our heart. Allow joy to overflow, because it's more than stories. You're real. Bless this trip, every aspect of it. Put your hand of favor on it so that you could be glorified. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. If you have any questions or need any other thing from me, text me, call me, email me. I'm